I'll try to explain it this way. I hope it will be clearer. First, upload the SVG file to Cricut Design Space. Now you will see that all the pages are grouped. This is to ensure that the file is uploaded in its original size. You need to click the ungroup icon to ungroup all the pages. You will notice that all the pages are now separated, one by one. You can even grab a page and move it. Previously, our files were much more complicated to work with. All the lines were separated, and the customer had to set everything up manually. Now, we have grouped each page into 3 layers, which makes the process much easier. I understand that it may be confusing to see some parts inside the page in a different color, but don't let that confuse you. This was the best way to make the file easier to work with because we use software where we group all the cut lines on one page into a single compound path, all the score lines on the same page into another, and all the numbers from the same page into a third, so that you have less work to do. However, for some reason, even though the software colors all the compound paths as we marked them, when you import the file into Cricut Design Space, some parts may not be filled with color, but they are still on the page with a single color, which is what matters. This means they belong to that page and that color. That part hasn't ended up there by mistake. Now let's set up the basic settings. Click on the first page. You will see that inside the first page there are 3 layers, as I mentioned earlier: cut, score, and pen. Now you need to set them as tasks. To be sure, I always click on the eye icon to turn visibility on or off, so I know exactly which layer I'm working with and which task to assign to it. Now that we know this layer contains the numbers and doesn't need to be cut, I will assign it the pen function. The next layer is for folding, and I assign it the score function. The last one is for cutting, and we leave it as it is because the cut function is enabled by default. Now, the final and most important step is to click on the page, making sure that all 3 layers from that page are selected, and then click Attach. If you don't click Attach and send it to the machine for cutting, the cut lines and the score lines would appear on separate pages. That's pretty much it when it comes to the settings. If you want to resize, you can easily do so by selecting all the pages at once and scaling them to a larger or smaller size. Just make sure not to exceed the size of the mat you're using. Once again, I want to emphasize, don't let it confuse you if some parts inside a page don't appear fully colored and look white. That doesn't mean that part should be a different color. Everything on one page is the same color, regardless of how it visually appears in Design Space. For extra assurance, open the PDF file titled Template and compare it. You will see which parts belong to that page, and in the top corner, you will find the color that should be used for that page. Also, in the PDF file you received with your purchase, titled Instructions, the first page indicates the colors, showing how many pages of each color you need and which pages correspond to each color. That's it. Now you have everything set up correctly for cutting with Cricut Design Space. By following these steps, you ensure that all layers are properly assigned and attached, making the cutting process smooth and hassle-free. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to reach out. Happy crafting, and enjoy bringing your project to life.